Aries. Here comes issue 2 of Seaman's 80s miniseries from October 1984, which means it was actually from probably August of that year. I really liked the cover to issue 1, but issue 2's cover, it feels less like a cover and more like a splash page that you start an issue with. And that is actually how we start the issue, with a similar image only framed far differently. SeaWorld, or its capital, has been destroyed by Dragon Rider, the new villainess that Seaman battled in the first part. A lot of world building with this. A lot of world building that I feel went a bit to waste, because it never really factored into future Seaman series or stories. Right now, we are interrogating Dragon Rider, and it is some more of that world building that I just mentioned. Dragon Rider was once one of Seaman's royal guard, but she became disillusioned and radicalised upon seeing the poverty and the living conditions of the Seaman colonies outside of the capital city. And I think this is all great, but as I said, it never sticks. And I noticed a big problem with SeaWorld. Over in Thor, we have a very supremely developed fairyland world, and it has all this lore and mythos behind it. We have all these facets of fairyland and its history. The same is true of Wonder Woman's fairyland. It is a rich, developed kingdom. We have attempts here, sincere attempts, to build up SeaWorld in a similar way, but I have pinpointed the exact problem. The only constant in SeaWorld is Seaman. This is a world that really only has a population of 1, Seaman. There are other seamen, obviously, and not just his rival warlords, but characters like his advisor. But compare it to, again, Thor's kingdom. Thor doesn't have to be there for there still to be characters we know well, or for stories to be built around it. I always hate when I have cracked a problem like that, and then someone with very little ability to think layered thoughts comes along and says, "No, you are wrong. What about Sea Girl?" My point isn't that there are absolutely no other SeaWorld characters. It's that outside of Seaman, we don't really tell stories about SeaWorld through the eyes of other seamen. We don't have a Warriors 3. We don't have a Baldric or a Sieve. We have got Seaman and stock councilmen and soldiers. We don't have other characters, proper characters. A distaff version of Seaman, or another servant for Seaman, wouldn't mitigate the truth that SeaWorld lacks an active populace that we have ever really seen. I've not read enough Acroman to really compare the two SeaWorlds. I think that could be a good one to have opposite it, but at the same time, I think it is very possible Acroman's SeaWorld might have the same issues. All that said, this series does strive to make SeaWorld compelling. We have political intrigue. And we also have Seaman faced directly with a challenge to his priorities. His new surface world crush, Jacqueline. She summons him, but at this point Seaman has to choose which is more important. His feelings for her, or his commitment to his plans to investigate the claims of the other Seaworld colonies being impoverished. He chooses the latter, which is the right choice. And we see this really miserable looking Seaworld city that is filled with emaciated, starving seamen. It is a mess. It is falling apart. Its people are suffering. It is a lot like Stockton. And its people also hate the king for allowing this squalor to come to pass. Not too flattering to Seaman. We are told this is due to his own ignorance, but we do actually show that it affects Seaman greatly. Not just seeing how horrible this domain has come under his rulership, but he also feels a connection and sympathy for these seamen, as he did spend years as an amnesiac homeless drifter, as per Fantastic Force issue 4, where we found out that sometime after World War II, Seaman has, well, I just said what he had become. On top of our exploration of Seaworld, which I think is good, something else this series does is that it creates new villains for Seaman. We have already seen Dragon Rider, and we get maybe the best one of the many here. Living in this poverty-stricken town is Proteus, a shape-shifty seaman who can become anything he wants, including Seaman himself. Proteus is a solid nemesis for Seaman. He doesn't appear again after this series. Although in the 90s run on Seaman, there was a plotline where Seaman's mum shows up alive and well, and somehow young, and then she usurps the crown. She takes over Seaworld, and I cannot think of a better time for a character to have turned out to be Proteus in disguise. But that never happened. I have no idea what the fuck is going on in any of those comics. Reading them gave me a bad head. The thing about Proteus is that he comes with a lot of qualities a villain needs. He has a great, unique motivation that he comes from the poor colonies of Seaworld, and that he blames all of that on Seaman. And then you have his power, which isn't shared with any other Seaman enemies. It is special. He stands out easily. And it is a tremendous power to have Seaman face, because it can be utilised in many ways. In general, shapeshifting is narratively a very dense power set. You can have it like here, where we have him simply transforming into other people, or, more excitingly, transforming into sea creatures like here. Action. That is only one application of the power that we are seeing here. It can also be used fantastically within the political intrigue side of things. Proteus can transform into someone and deliberately escalate conflicts. I think it is a shame Proteus didn't become a recurring enemy for Seaman. He has everything needed to be a good one, and maybe even, under some writers, he could have been made into an arch nemesis, Seaman's arch nemesis. Part of me does wonder if him sharing a name with another notable villain might have been a factor in his lack of further use. Proteus has never had a handy book entry. We have a real anti-hero ending where, after beating Proteus in a fight, Seaman, he takes out all of his anger on this already defeated enemy. His feelings about seeing parts of his kingdom falling apart, his anger at Dragon Rider, his upset at not being able to go and see Jacqueline, his memories of being a derelict. He channels it all into beating this now helpless foe in front of a crowd of onlookers who already despise him for letting their city fall to ruin. I really like much of what Jim DeMatteis does to expand upon SeaWorld and Seaman's Rogues Gallery. The obvious fallback is that I don't think many people actually read this series, so a lot of what it does isn't appreciated or continued past its conclusion. I like this series though, and I thought it would be funny if one of my videos just ended really suddenly.